Well, hello model car fans. Welcome to the Muscle Car Modeler. My name is Revell, and this week I'm going to do and show you a few more updates that I'm making to this Revell 68 Dodge Dart Hemi, as the box says, but it's the Hemi Dart super stock car that I'm building, and I'm doing it more as the almost how Hearst provided it when you picked it up at Hearst, which is why it's in this primer paint scheme. And it's just one I've always wanted to do this way, and it's the way I wanted to build it. But I did the full-on updates on how to correct the interior, and because it was one of the things that bothered me about this kit. So I did all that stuff to the interior, and it came out great. The only thing here that I've added since then is I did put the decal that Revell gives you for the fire extinguisher. So that's now on there if you can see it. This one has it as well. But the interior is complete and it's ready to go in. And somebody had asked if these get in the way, and they pretty much don't. It's very thin, but the windows kind of push these in anyway because it's very tight in here. So looking really good. I'm really happy with the way this came out. And you guys that are watching my video and comment, and I really do appreciate it. And speaking of comments, you know, I read all my comments and everything. But Carl Stannard, if I'm saying that properly, if not, I apologize. I had mentioned that I was having trouble getting the foil to stick to the primer. Now I've been having a little bit of trouble with bare metal foil sticking lately in the latest batch, and I know many of you guys have. But he suggested I just cover the areas that I need to cover because it's a semi-gloss, and I had brushed, gave it more of a satin finish by cleaning it up a little bit, which was, this primer was very satin. But so I had scuffed it all up, but he'd mentioned put future floor wax on there, give it more of a gloss finish, and it should stick better. And it's something I had never actually done before. And since I really don't do primer cars, not surprised, but I didn't use actual future. I just had just some gloss lacquer clear and a brush, and I brushed those areas with that, and even the marker lights back here. And then let it dry, and then after that I foiled it, and it stuck much better. So Carl, I appreciate that tip. So even I need some tips and some help here and there, you know, as an influencer. But I'm just sharing my passion with you guys. But and I appreciate the feedback. Every now and then I, you know, need help as well. You know, we all do. We all can learn. I'm always learning and experimenting and messing up. But this thing, it's come a long way. All the windows are in, everything's in. And got the decal right here, which Revell gives you this kit this decal in the kit. It's the warning, you really can't read it, but it's the warning that tells you that this car is equipped with the 426 Hemi engine, and it's meant for accelerated time trials, and that it is not covered under warranty. The 12-month 12,000 mile bumper to bumper and 5-year 50,000 mile warranty do not apply to this car. But in the real car, I understand this sticker is not on the inner fender, which is where Revell tells you to put it. It's in the glove box. So even if you did use it, put it in the correct spot, it's inside the glove box where you wouldn't see it. So I decided I was going to stick it on this one. So I did, even though that's truly not accurate. And then another thing I'm doing, you can see my master cylinder that I removed the booster, and finished that up and glued that in place. I got the radiator support. Now some of them have this hood latch and some don't, because hood pins hold it on. So I'd seen some that have this and some that don't. I decided to leave it, put it on there. Left the horn off. I haven't decided I'm going to put the horn on there. But the wiper motor, that's come up quite a bit about wipers and wiper motor. The real cars actually had wipers on them. A lot of racers actually took the wipers off, but even the engine compartments, you would see the wiper motor. But the issue I have, and then there's a mounting lug there. I took my Dremel and I ground it off, and I'll touch that up because it dawned on me afterwards. Revell gives you this wiper motor, which for most darts is correct. This is the 3-speed wiper motor. The Hemi Darts had the 2-speed wiper motor, but that is available in kit form. So AMT in their 68 Roadrunner, 69 GTX, and 70 Super B later issues all have this wiper motor, which this is the 2-speed wiper motor. Now it's chromed. I stripped the chrome off of it, and I'm going to paint it. It's usually black, so it'll kind of blend in and disappear on the firewall. So I clean that up, and I'm going to stick that on the firewall, and that'll make it a bit more accurate. Also, one other thing, I've decided to do, I pulled the intake off even though I had the engine completely assembled and ready to go, and I had this intake in place, and I was gonna just leave it alone, but the rear carb, because this is where the distributor goes, is higher than the front, and the more I was looking at it, the more it bothered me. And then it dawned on me, I didn't mention it in my other video, but when I built this Larry Griffith car, I did lift the intake. I did cut it. If you look closely, I actually cut the intake right down the center and moved this side up, and just cut it, lifted it up, and then glued it back in place. That's all I did to that one. So I'm going to do the same thing to this one. So in a little bit here, I'm going to cut this in half with my razor saw and start to do those mods. So I'll move some of this stuff and I'll show you that. And while I'm at it, I think I will drill the holes and run the plug wires and get those on there as well, even though this is pretty much on there. But it's never too late to change something, even though, you know, I ran the exhaust, drilled holes and pinned, you know, so that they would go in there. And even though most of them, they took them off, just ran open headers, which is how I did this one. But that's an older build, but I did a few of the mods to that, but not to the extent of this interior. And the body's coming out really nice. I'm really happy with it. So now I'm kind of going a little farther. So I'm going to pause this for a second, clear this out of the way, and I'll start modifying this intake so you can see how I do that. Well, so this is going to be pretty straightforward as far as what I'm going to do here. My plan is I'm going to take my razor saw here and I'm just going to cut it right like that, using the very center as a guide and cutting it right down the center here, which I'm a little nervous about. Kind of hard to gauge and figure this out while I've got the camera and this in front. But it should be a pretty easy cut. Just try and keep it pretty square because I'm trying to make it go straight up. Sorry, I'm shaking the table here. Should have done this before I painted it and assembled the engine, but I was going to leave it originally and I changed my mind. The build's going so nice that I'm like, all right, let's work on some of these other issues. So there we go. Nice. So you can see where it sat originally, and then I'm just going to move it up here. Just level it off and glue it in place. But because of the amount of plastic that I had cut off with my razor saw and the fact that it moves it up away from the valve cover, I'm going to add a piece of styrene and space it out just a little bit. So I'm going to go grab my styrene, just a sheet, and I'll stick that on there. But just to see for reference, when I put this back on the intake, let's get that right there. You can see when I lift it up, I do need to move it over if I can get it to put that one in place and put that, so you can get an idea to get it to kind of stay with the same spacing on the intake. So it's not going to need much, but I'm going to get that piece. So I went and grabbed some of my sheets of styrene here, and I got some different thicknesses here. I don't know what they actually are. I've got really thick right here. I've got this one, it's a pretty good size, and then these two. This one's really thin, this middle one. It's very thin, if you can see that. But I think I'm choosing this one, which this one's just a little bit thicker than the blade. Which I think this is what's going to work out nice. It's a huge sheet, but all I'm going to do is just put that anywhere. I'm just going to glue it right to the side here, trim it to where it fits, and then to shape it, and then glue the two intakes together. And then the last step will be, there'll be drop downs right here to fill in. So I'll fill those in. Alright, so I cut it into this little piece right here. So a nice little manageable piece. So I'm gonna glue it on here first, and then I'll shape it. So let's glue it on here first. I'm gonna use my Tamiya extra thin cement here. See how well this works. But stuff works really good and really fast. Give that a second here. Here we go. 1 second. It's on there. Alright, let's just get a little bit more on the inside here. So now it's on there. My next step, I'm just going to trim it all off so that it's flush with this, and then I'll glue it back onto that. Alright, so here's the latest on the intake. I got that piece glued on, and as you can see, I just took my sanding stick and my X-Acto knife here, and I cut the excess off, and I've sanded it and filed it, and just filling in a little bit of gap, making it just a little bit wider. And then next step, I'm actually going to glue it level, so that the intake is level instead of down here. So that's going to be the next step, and then I'll prime it and fill in the gaps here. I got a little bit of gap right there. Now you see my cut isn't really square or straight. You know, doesn't really matter actually, because all I'm doing is moving it up, so you know, not the greatest. It does change the angle just a little bit, but nothing that's going to be noticeable in scale. And once I get this thing primed and repainted, it's going to be ready to go. So I've just got a little bit more to do on this one, so I'll glue this and show you the next step and see how it fits as far as mocking it up. So, well, getting this finished and together, I've got it glued together now. As you saw, it's now glued, and you can see the shim that spaced it out. And I also added a piece right here just to fill in the gap on the corners and push the dies down. So I sanded it, and there's just been a small amount of sanding with my sticks here to help shape it and whatnot, but now you can see the intake's pretty flat and even. So, and I kind of cheated. When I was gluing it, I just laid it face down on the table, flat surface, to kind of get it level, because otherwise I was kind of fighting the issue where it was kind of twisting on me and trying to make it level. So there it is, and it's all glued and ready so for some primer. And to see what it looks like on the actual motor, there you go, nice and level, and the gaps are fairly well the same as far as how it looks on the heads. So, and then once I put the spark plug wires on there, you know, it should stand out a little bit more. But I'm really happy with the way that's come out, and I wonder if you guys will be too. But you know, using the intake that's provided in the kit, I just lifted the driver's side of it and spaced it up a little bit, just making the carburetors more level. Here's the carburetors right here. And then that's what I pretty much had done on this one. You get a pretty good idea side by side here. Now it's kind of funny that I didn't remember doing all that, but I built that many years ago, or pretty much 10 years ago. So that's pretty much done. So next step is prime and repaint the intake, fit some of these parts back on there, and I just got a couple other little things that I want to do on it. Now, it was also pointed out, I was having a friendly discussion with Lucas C, and we were talking about dart hoods, and he had mentioned that there's a stiffening rib right down the middle of the hood that is not molded. Now, it's very hard to see in all of the reference photos I had seen, but it is there, and I don't have it on this hood. So I think that's going to be one of my next steps here, and I think the only way I'm really going to do it is kind of do what I do with the vinyl top stuff. I'll just run a couple of pieces of tape and do a couple of layers of black paint and make it come up a little bit. Since the hood's already painted and primed and it matches this, I'm a little worried about doing it, and I did not do that to this car, so it's got the flat, but and I saw a number of cars, so it's really hard to see, but I did see it on there. So I'll work on doing that, and you'll probably see the final result on that. But there's that. And then the last thing, here's where I'm kind of stuck. I really love these tires that Revell gives you with this kit. So here's the set. Now the transportation wheels on this are really just 4 of these little things, front and back. And you know, I could do that. I think I will. But I was just rummaging through my parts sources and my kits. Let's move this out of the way. And if you guys remember the Ford Thunderbolt from Revell, comes with the steel wheels as well. The 64 Ford Thunderbolt. Well, that's a nice set of steel wheels. And you know, me being a fan of that kit, and just, you know, I'm not much of a drag racer, but I love that Thunderbolt kit. It's a great kit. I love this kit. Not much of a huge drag race fan, but I love these factory stock kind of stuff. And they're kind of fun. For me, it's kind of a break from building a lot of the stock muscle cars. But these are nice wheels. And the best part, after checking, if I can get them out of here. Okay, got one out. Here's the other one. Is these things pretty much drop right in. So there's one there. These are just a tad loose, the front ones, but once you black them out, so there's a front, the rear ones drop in there real nice. They really fit this tire. So I'm really leaning towards, I'm going to paint a set of these black when I get towards the end and see how they mock up in there as far as that goes, or if I'm going to keep the chrome ones, or maybe even do a set of 4 of the real skinny tires all the way around. Pardon my intrusion here, but here's a quick little insert here on the Hemi Dart kit. Here's the tires from the Hemi Dart kit, and I mentioned the Thunderbolt steel wheels. Now I'm working on this 58 Corvette Roadster from Revell also, and great kit. This is box stock, just doing it real fast. I haven't decided if I'm going to feature it on the channel or not, but it comes with these custom plain steel wheels that are chromed, which are actually really cool. And I just realized, you got a pair of front, pair of rears, but they're Revell also. So I decided, let's see if they fit the tires. Now, they fit the skinny tires really well, much better than the Thunderbolt ones. So these fit really well. I think I'm going to take these also, strip the paint and chrome and paint them black. And the rears even fit the big drag tires here. So while not deep offset, they look really good. So I may do these as well, or give these a try. So there's another set besides the 64 Thunderbolt. If you got one of these kits, it has these wheels in it as well, and it looks like they fit these Revell tires great. I mean, it's a Revell kit, but it has wide white walls. But these fit really nicely. So I'll continue on, and I'll keep playing with this and my other kits. Just a little insert here. Liking the way that those appear to me. So when my next round of painting, I'll paint those, do some more work, and see about adjusting that hood. But I may just leave the hood alone. I haven't decided. But I think I'm going to, at least when I shoot some semi-gloss black, I'll put some tape and put up a couple layers on there just to see if it stands up. And there's a few other things. Put the wiper motor in there that I mentioned. And that should do my updates. But this thing's getting pretty far along. It'll probably be done here really soon. Alright, here we are. Getting some last minute details done. I got the spark plug wires on this Hemi. Drilled the holes right into the valve cover. The boots are already there. Just ran the wires and let them sag a little bit on both sides there, and painted the coil blue. I've seen a number of them with blue coils, so I'm like, that's different, so I decided to do that. Almost wanted to do the spark plug wires in yellow or a different color, but all the factory ones I could see were pretty much black, so I did those. And I just used some of this stuff that I had lying around. Now that was Detail Master wire, which it says battery cable, but that's the size I used. I also had gray, and I almost used this. Had red, and then this is Teflon tubing. I don't think they're around anymore. I've had this a very long time. You just cut it and use it for boots. I used this on the coil, but that's about it. Didn't use it on the distributor. And then here's how the hood came out. Like I said, I put masking tape on both sides, and then I just brushed some semi-gloss black on there to give it the ridged just a little bit, just a tiny little lip. And really happy with the way that came out, and it's looking really good. So that concludes that. And then here's the wiper motor in there, so you can see that glued in on the firewall. So there's the wiper motor, again the master cylinder. So makes that really nice. And then last, the wheels here. Here's the Thunderbolt set mounted up on the tires and wheels that are given to you from Revell. So there's the Thunderbolt set. Look really good. Painted the lug nuts, of course. I like the shape of these, and but the front's a little looser on this one, but you can glue it in place. It's really not noticeable, but those look good. Really like these. I'll see how they look on the car. And then here's a set of the 60 or 58 Corvette wheels that were chromed. I stripped the chrome off, painted them black, and then painted the lug nuts and the grease cap there. And she's looking really good. And you got 2 rears, 2 fronts. But yeah, I really like these two. So once I get this thing glued together and start mocking it up, we'll see which set of wheels I really like on it. And then of course the ones that Revell gives you this kit, very nice wheels. But my other one has this on them, so they probably won't make it. But looking forward to getting this thing done. So this thing is just about done, about ready to button it all up and get her finished. Thank you for tuning in, subscribing, and watching, and I appreciate all your shares and your comments. And you guys, you have a wonderful Saturday, and I'll see you next weekend.